all the discussions that are happening. So I'm not going to get into the technical. There's enough fellas to talk about the technical. I just want to give a thought. And the fact is like this: we're in a very strange dynamic, which doesn't need me to say, and it sounds like the understatement. But for the first time in our lives, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Shul, and Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur in general are being given over to us in a much more voluntary fashion than we're ever used to. The average South African never questioned if it's a voluntary thing to go to Shul on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur or not. It was just a given. That's what you do. And this year, each and every one of us is being called to make that decision. And of course, as a Shul, we adopted the policy early on that it's not for us to judge anybody's decision. Every person will make their decision and it's theirs to make alone. At the same time, we felt that it's our obligation to share our information, that the decision you make is made on objective facts that you can then listen to, hear, assimilate, and then make your own call. And are we hoping that a few more people will come to Shul? It would be great. But if this webinar doesn't accomplish that, that's fine anyway, because we're just here to share what we're doing, why we're doing, and how we're doing. And I want to give a special shout out to the executive that signed up this year to a job. It looks like every executive that signs up to the Shul ends up in a different job than they thought they were. One executive's building buildings and the next one's dealing with COVID. But a big shout out to the guys, especially to Wayne and Craig, Ivor, Norman, Farrell, who really put in a tremendous amount of work to make this happen, and all the subcommittees and the office, and the UOS and Chief Rabbi. I know Harold's with us. And I actually sent the Chief Rabbi a private message of a week ago saying that, in my opinion, in the 10 years I've been in this country, he's played his part better than he ever has in the last 6 months. I think it's been an incredible show of leadership from the UOS, and in general, a very uniting position. And having talked to many other rabbis and executive, having spoken to many other executives, we're all in the same boat. Every shul's in the same boat. The numbers are the same, the worries are the same, the issues are the same. We're all having the same conversations. And therefore we felt, let's come on over here. Everybody feel free to post any questions you want on the chat. It's just easier to facilitate it that way if the questions come on chat. And we will try to answer every question to the best of our ability. And we hope that you learned something from this information. And I just want to use this opportunity to wish you all, those who we will see on Yom Tov and those who we won't see, a Chag Sameach, a wonderful Chag, a Shana Tova Mtuka, a good and sweet year. And I hope that we all stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, and that please God, this coming year brings in much better news than the previous year. Amen. I'm going to hand it over now to Craig. Craig, feel free to unmute yourself when you're ready.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for being with us. I think Wayne was actually going to speak first, but it doesn't really make much of a difference. So all I really want to impress upon you guys here today is I just want to give a little bit of background as to how we've actually set up the Shul, and just to give you guys the confidence that we've done everything in accordance with the guidebook that has been given to us. So we've set up the Shul in accordance with government regulations for places of worship. Those regulations, those government regulations have been overlaid by the Return to Shul protocols, which have been given to us by the Office of the Chief Rabbi. As we know, the Chief Rabbi has been guided by his medical team, Professor Shub, Dr. Friedland, and Professor Kramer. So Professor Kramer has been very kindly going around to all the shuls in South Africa and helping us with our setup to ensure that we set everything up in accordance with the guidelines that they have given us. So Professor Kramer has been to meet with us twice here at LinkShul Shul. He's been on site twice. The first time he came to meet with us was just after we received the protocols, and the purpose of his meeting was just to help set up the main shul in accordance with the protocols for the return to shul of our weekly minyan and preparing us for the first Shabbos. Also, just to add, on that first meeting that he came here, He also came and he inspected our mikveh, which was just about to receive its kosher certification. And he helped us to set the protocols for our mikveh, which has now been running for almost 2 months. Then Professor Cromer came back about 3 weeks ago, and he met myself and Wayne and the rabbi on site. The purpose of that meeting was for him to come and see how we had actually set up the shul. And I must just say that in terms of our setup, he was so impressed that he took pictures of the shul, and he said to us that he was going to use those pictures to help to show other shuls as an example. And I don't say that to impress you, I say that to impress upon you that we really have done everything in accordance with the guidelines that have been given to us to ensure your safety. We haven't exercised any sort of discretion or been creative. We really have done exactly what we've been told. So the other reason why Professor Cromer met with us a few weeks ago was to approve other venues. So here on the campus, we're very spoiled for space and for choice, and we've set up 3 venues. So each venue is, according to government regulations, it is a separate place of worship, it is a separate shul. The 3 venues are as follows. So we've set up the main shul. The main shul obviously is such a very big space, and there is so much, the social distancing is so well done, and there's a lot of ventilation. There's the back doors, there's the front doors, there's all the windows along the top. So it really is a very good venue for COVID. Then our brothel hall has been approved as another venue, and this is an incredibly well ventilated venue because the front doors open completely out to the outside. We've got all our windows along the side, and it fits 50 people very nicely, and it's a very well ventilated venue. Then our third venue is that was approved by the professor was the King David High School Hall. This as well, it's a very large venue for 50 people, so everybody's very well spread out. The doors open on the back, the front, the sides. There's a lot of windows. So we really are very lucky here that we have 3 very, very well ventilated, very spacious venues where you can feel very safe. You'll be well spaced out from everybody else. Just a note, the third venue, the King David Hall, will be used mostly for the youth minyan, and then the other 2 venues will be used for the rest of the crowd. So just a little bit of logistical information. So with regards to each venue, so in accordance with the government regulations and the regulations given by the chief rabbi, each venue, and this is just important to understand, each venue is a separate bubble unto itself. It has its own entry, it has its own exit, and it has its own bathroom facilities. So why is this important? This is important because over the next couple of days, for those of you who've booked, you will receive a phone call from the shul to tell you which venue you will be coming to daven in. It's very important to then note that you will receive, we'll be sending out to the WhatsApp groups and via email, venue-specific information. So if, for example, you are going to be davening in the main shul, what you would need to know then, that the entrance that you will be using is the main King David entrance on Club Street. It is very important that you know this because that is the only entrance that we can use for that shul. The Brocha Hall is now another separate venue. If you're going to be allocated to the Brocha Hall, then the only entrance that you can come into is the top gate at King David on Bedford Street. The King David High School Hall has a third entrance, and that is the Hug and Go on Club Street. It is very important that you use only the entrance that has been allocated to that particular venue. If, for example, you have been allocated the main shul, and instead of using the correct entrance, which is Club Street, you use Bedford, you're going to end up at the screening table for the Brocha Hall. That's going to result in logistical problems for us, and more than likely you'll be told to go all the way around back to Club Street. So please just take note of which venue you've been allocated, and please take note of where the entrance for that venue, where the entrance actually is. Then just a little bit of, just so that you know what's going to happen. Once you come in through that entrance, you'll proceed to a screening table, which will be in front of, let's say it's the main shul. The screening table will be right outside the Salzman Family Community Center. You will be met there by COVID officers. Our COVID officers are Mandla, Doc, and Lawrence. You know them all very well. What will happen is it's a very, very quick process. All of the admin has basically been done on the booking system. So the indemnity form has been signed. The whole COVID health screening has all been done. All that will happen is when you arrive at the screening table, your temperature will be taken and you'll be simply asked a question if any of your health symptoms have changed, which presumably would be no, because if any of them had changed, then we assume that you wouldn't be coming to Shul. It will be a very quick process. Once you've passed the screening process, you will then enter the Shul, and there are very, very fixed designated areas within the Shul. In the main Shul, you will see that according to the return to Shul protocols issued by the Chief Rabbi, we've had to designate certain areas for people over the age of 60. And what Professor Kramer also did for us, which was very nice, is he allowed us in the men's and the ladies section to designate family areas. So if, for example, you're a father and you're coming with your sons, or you're a mother and you're coming with your daughters, as long as you live in the same premises, as long as you live under the same roof, you'll be able to go sit right next to each other in the family section. So everything has really been, just the real point that I wanted to get across here is we have followed the regulations to the absolute letter of the law. We haven't changed anything. We've been very nicely guided by Professor Kramer, who's been on site twice, and everything really has been set up for your safety. We just ask that please, when you receive the information from with regards to your specific venue, that you take note of which entrance you must use, and please use the correct entrance. And that's pretty much it. We're looking very forward to having you back, and just wanted to know that you will be safe, and we've done everything that we absolutely can do.
Okay, thank you, Craig. I just really want to send out a real kol hakavod to you. I think the effort that you've put in has been unbelievable. You've also taken it to heart, and you've really taken it to a level whereby our community can feel safe and comfortable with the return to Shul. The next speaker that I'd like to bring up, and please unmute yourself. Will you please unmute yourself, Josh? Josh is our youth leader, and the most important part of our Shul, really, one of the important elements is our youth. It is a very difficult matter for us on the basis that, we'd love to have our children running around. We'd love to see our kids participating in children's services, but this year is a little bit difficult. And as the pandemic moves on, and hopefully as things improve in South Africa, we hope by at a later stage that we can make further announcements to include the kids. So I'd like Josh to take the floor now and just give us some insight into what Rosh Hashanah will be like for the youth under the conditions. Josh, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Wayne, and thank you, Craig, and also, of course, to the rabbi, and really just kol hakavod to everyone that's been part of this huge effort to get Shul ready for Rosh Hashanah. I know that during the lockdown, we were all wondering, will we be in Shul for Rosh Hashanah? It's amazing that we can go to Shul and feel safe going to Shul this Rosh Hashanah. So really kol hakavod. So as Wayne said, Shul is not going to be the same, unfortunately, this year, and we really are saddened by that. Even for us, it's a challenge not being able to bring our own daughter, Shirel, to Shul, and we're having to work around that. So we know that it's a complication for families, and we appreciate the sensitivity in trying to deal with that. As Wayne mentioned, we are looking to start children's services, in line with international moves, as well as also just making sure that everyone feels comfortable in the Shul space. Having children there at this time is difficult, but we do hope that already by Sukkot and Simchas Torah that we're able to have some form of children's services. For the children specifically on Yom Tov this year, on second day, there will be shofar blowing for them. They'll be at 2 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. You would need to register for that. on the Shul system website. So that is something that we really encourage everyone to do. It's a great educational message for them to hear shofar and to take part in that mitzvah. So please, we do encourage everyone to bring their kids in the afternoon. Then also what we have done is we've created these packs, if you want to call it, shaboxes, which is really children's service at home. We really try to do them as professionally and beautifully as possible. They are exciting for the kids. It's really just getting a giant gift for them. So if you haven't signed up for Shabox for Tishrei edition, please do. The feedback that we heard from our first effort that we did last time was really, really powerful, and we're so glad. So if you haven't signed up, we still have a few more boxes available. Sign up and get a Shabox for your child. It's available to them between ages 3 and 12. Then also for those which are older than that, they can become to Shul. So we do have Youth Minyan. We have Youth Minyan on first and second day. And you know, typically Youth Minyan is very different from the main Shul because there's a choir normally and things like that. This year, there's less of a distinction between them, but I think that still we're going to be bringing our very safe and exciting ches and vibe to the Youth Minyan. The way that we set it up, and we did a bit of a survey with the kids and the youth, is that we actually asked them, you know, would you like a Ma'ariv minyan? Would you like this? And even though there was a lot of people which said, hey, we would like a Ma'ariv minyan, our thinking was, well, let's use the Ma'ariv minyan for children to sit with their parents, the youth to sit with their parents. So that's the opportunity to daven with your fathers and mothers. But then the daytime, you know, let's try consolidate and have a very strong, powerful youth minyan. So I also make that call to parents, you know, encourage your children, even if they do want to daven with you, you know, use the Ma'ariv service each night to daven with your children and sit next to them. It's beautiful. And then also maybe encourage them to come and take ownership in the minyan, of the youth minyan during the days. So that's with regards to how youth minions will look. And really, Yoni Rosenthal, he's our chazan. He's great. He's done it for many years, and he's part of the team, which is brilliant. And then also just lastly, for any youth that don't feel comfortable coming back to Shul, they're still taking their precautions. They live with people that have comorbidities. We are also looking to just get them a little bit of a gift before Chag as well. So we are reaching out to our crew, to our network, our youth groups. But of course, if there's any parents on this call or grandparents and they know that their kids in high school or early university years won't be at Shul, we're looking to send them a gift. So please do let us know. You can send me a message or WhatsApp. But also just, again, lastly, thank you from both Jordi and myself and Sherelle, really for all the efforts. And we are excited for Chag. We think it's going to be beautiful, if not a little bit different. So thank you, Wayne, and the executive, and Rav Afsal.
Thank you, Josh. Once again, we're very blessed to have Josh and Jordi leading our youth, and we look forward to more exciting things in the future. Just there is one question that's come across, which I'd like to, the purpose of today is really a question and answer session. And the question was, for booked services, will children be coming to the services? So certainly children over bar and bar mitzvah are welcome. And we welcome parents to bring their children. And with the family shofar blowing, we've also opened up a booking system that will allow for that. That is for parents and children of all ages. It really is the start of where we're going, but we certainly are cognizant of the safety and the safety aspects. And at this moment in time, children under bar and bat mitzvah that come to that shofar blowing service will need to be under the strict supervision of their parents in order to keep everyone safe. So I hope that answers that question. If there are further questions with respect to the children and the youth, please feel free to post them, and we will certainly answer them. So just the next speaker that I'd like to open up the floor, and Harold, if you can unmute yourself, is Harold. Harold is the chairman of the UAS, and Harold, just on a personal level, I'd like to thank you for the support that the UAS has given, the Chief Rabbi's office, and certainly, our one-on-one phone calls that we have. It's very promising and I'm very grateful for the fact that the line of communication between LinkShul Shul and the UAS has been open. It helps that you're a member, which certainly makes life easy. But really, Harold, we so appreciate your input, and we so appreciate the UAS and everything that happens behind the scenes. So I'd like to just let you take the floor. Go ahead, Harold.
Thank you, Wayne. Thanks. Can you hear me? Am I coming through?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So first and foremost, let me tell you that it's such a pleasure to be part of this wonderful shul. How happy and proud I am, and it's also so nice to see so many of our congregants here that we haven't had a chance to for the last couple of months. So a big welcome and hello to you, Wayne and Craig, and to you, Rabbi. And if I could just start off by saying that letting the community know, and I really hope that more people will tune in and listen to this recording, because I really believe that they should know just what a debt of gratitude that they owe to the rabbi, to Rabbi Avtzon, to you, Wayne, and to you, Craig, and Ivor, for the fantastic job, and Farrell, for the fantastic job that the executive of Shul have actually done. The amount of effort that's gone into sustaining the shul, and as you've correctly said, you and I have had a couple of chats, and I know that always been tuned in to what we're doing at the UAS, which has been a considerable amount of work these last 6 months, more so than I can recall in my tenure for very, very many years. And I really think that it's phenomenal work of what you've done. You know, congregants, this has been one of the most stressful times for any rabbi. And I think that the way our rabbi, you, Rabbi Levi Avtzon, have conducted yourself, what you put together for this community on a daily basis, your messages, your WhatsApps from a personal point to the LinkShul minion and to the congregation has been quite phenomenal. I am in tune with a lot of the shuls, with most of the shuls, and I've had some negativity from certain chairmen of shuls re their committees and their rabbis, and I can only give praise to the immense value that you people have done, and what you've put in for this community at LinkShul has been nothing short of phenomenal. So really a very, very well done, and yesher koach to you all for the tremendous efforts that you gentlemen have actually put in. One of the big things, one of the most important things that we've stressed at the UAS over this critical time for the shuls has been the continuing support of members to support the shul, to continue with their contributions, with their membership, with their seating contributions, with their Yontif donations. We and all the shuls have lost out on Pesach, we lost out on Shavuot. To an extent, there's going to be a huge drop in numbers for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and for probably Sukkot and Simchas Torah as well. But it's very, very important, and it's vital, in fact, to sustain the shuls. And the only way the shuls can be sustained is by the continued support of the members of the various congregations. And in discussion with you, Wayne, here again, I must commend and congratulate the wonderful congregants of LinkShul that have come to the party once again, and just to ensure the sustainability of the shul that we've got. So just very quickly, if I could just give you a little bit of a rundown at the UAS. Wow, have we been busy. It's probably been one of the busiest 6 going on 7 months that I can ever recall. I don't have to elaborate on what Chief Rabbi Warren Goldstein has actually done for this community. I'm in touch with the chief almost on a daily basis. And he said to me on a number of times in his tenure now of 18 years, 18 and a half years, this has probably been the most difficult and stressful period. But the way he has performed, the webinars, the personal contact that he's had with hundreds, maybe thousands of families and people around the country and across the world has been quite phenomenal. As a matter of fact, at 4 o'clock, there's a fantastic webinar with Chief Rabbi Dr. Jonathan Sachs, which I would endorse very strongly. So also, of course, apart from the Back to Shul, which has been a vital aspect of the function of the UAS, which you, Craig, very elaborately spoke about, and we're in touch with our medical experts to whom we owe a huge, huge debt of gratitude. These guys have given up a fortune of their time. You spoke about Professor Kramer, how impressed he is with LinkShul. Well, I can assure you, he is impressed. And believe me, he's blown his top with more than one other congregation and individual shuls that he's come across that have not conformed and have been quite severely dealt with. So there again, Kalikavot to you guys, to you, Craig and Wayne, Rabbi, for the wonderful efforts that you've done as far as going back to Shul, getting back to Shul, and how we'd all love to get to Shul. Now, I keep saying that from Shabbos being the day that I personally look forward to, and getting to Shul at 7:30 in the morning for our breakfast, babka and coffee, and then a shir by the rabbi at 8:15. I think I miss that more than anything, but please God, it will happen soon. And there again at the, once again at the UAS, we've been very, very busy. The only offices that are open at the UAS that you may know, which are housed in the HOD where Gary Friedman Caterings are, is the offices of the Beth Din. So anybody who's requiring the necessity of any of the Dayanim, that's Rabbi Fox, Rabbi Badil, or Rabbi Smith, they are still in the offices of the Gary Friedman, and they can be reached on 010-214-2600. And they are there. So the office of the chief rabbi it's a new office that is created at home. And otherwise, the UAS is functioning exceptionally well. We also at the UAS, I may tell you, because I think you'll read about it in the Jewish Report in the next couple of weeks, we've undergone a huge, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we've had to embark on a huge restructure at the UAS. And if I use the word painful, I'm being kind. It was one of the most difficult times that we've been through. A committee, a remuneration committee, but we had to act in the interests not only of the UAS. When we act in the interests of the UAS, we act in the interests of the entire community, all 52,700 Jews that remain in South Africa. So we have done that. It's 95% completed. It's been going on for nearly 14 weeks. We started it, if I remember correctly, on the 4th of June. And as I say, we're about 95% completed with that restructure, which will ensure the sustainability of the UAS for very many years to come. And when I say the sustainability of the UAS, I talk about the sustainability of being Jewish in South Africa. Because as you know, not only do we house the office of the chief rabbi, Beth Din, Kashrut, conversions, Gittin, and quite a few other issues that we deal with on a daily basis. Just in conclusion, and I'm hoping, and I'm sure it might not affect LinkShul Shul, but also what we've managed to secure, something that I've been, the chief and I and one other person on the committee have been working on for the last 6 weeks, is that we've managed to secure from the Jewish agency in Israel a very substantial loan, because there are certain shuls in the country that are in very, very dire straits. And this is one of our very big concerns. And I touch again on the point that I made for congregants of all the shuls to continue to support their shuls. So we have this loan in place. It can be, the letters actually gone out to the rabbis and to the Gaboim. I'm sure that our Gaboim have received that during the week. And you can, the various shuls would be able to contact us through the offices of the UAS at the phone number that I gave a little while ago. So I would once again, and in conclusion, a very big thank you to one and all, especially you gentlemen again, that have done such a wonderful job to continue the well-being of our shul. And I just end by wishing everybody a Shana Tova, and I'm sure, please God, soon we'll all be able to be together once again. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the opportunity. I wish you all well.
Harold, thank you for that. And just to share one element, when lockdown started, we felt a little bit disconnected to the Jewish community. And at one stage, myself and lay leaders of the shul, of various shuls across the country, we would get up to nearly 100 of us on a Zoom meeting with chairmen and other gaboim of shuls across the country. So it's quite something, and it's quite quite amazing that we've been able to have this cohesiveness in the Jewish community. And it's not only for LinkShul Shul, but we've connected with lay leaders from shuls across the country. And that's from the efforts of the UOS, from the Chief Rabbi, and we thank you. And Harold, thank you once again for your support. The next person that Rabbi, I'd like you to please just open the floor to you to just describe the services, what will happen in each service, and also I'd like you to possibly answer Melanie Frankel's question, which is posted. Over to you, Rabbi.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. So I've been receiving many questions. Rabbi, I'm coming for the first service, but can I come later for shofar as well? So it's important that we clarify exactly what the services will look like. As I've said on Shabbos to those who are attending, lowering our expectations before we come will be healthy for everybody because it is very different than what we're used to. So let me describe some of the limitations we have. Limitation number one that Craig mentioned is up to 50 people in a venue. Limitation number two is up to 2 hours in a venue, and that's it. No ifs, buts, hows, and whens. So for context, usually a Rosh Hashanah in LinkShul Shul takes 5 hours from beginning to end. We start at 7:45. It's usually not a big crowd then, but it does start at 7:45. And we finish at 1:45. So it's just over 5 hours. And now we're being asked to do that in 2 hours. And to do that, the Beth Din and various other Rabbanim locally have been forced to really relook at the entire service and ask ourselves what is absolutely non-negotiable and what's not. So there are 2 days Rosh Hashanah. I'm not even talking about Yom Kippur now. Yom Kippur we could either discuss after Rosh Hashanah or it will be self-explanatory once we finish with Rosh Hashanah. But Rosh Hashanah is 2 days. This year it's a Shabbos and a Sunday. On Shabbos, there's no shofar. That's a big difference. You don't blow the shofar, only on Sunday, which means that for the people that want to hear shofar, they don't have to, make an effort and inconvenience themselves twice. It's only once off. So within the 2 hours, this is what we want to cover. We want to cover Shacharit, which is the first service of the day, the morning service. We want to cover Musaf, which is the main service. We want to cover laning, and we want to cover shofar on Sunday. And we are going to do that. But what we're going to have to do is a very abridged version. So for example, if usually we start davening by brachot, which is the beginning of the service, now we're going to start just before Yishtabach, which is, let's say, half an hour to 40 minutes into the service. If usually the Amidah, the silent Amidah then has a full repetition, this time it won't have a repetition in the first prayer in Shacharit, but in Musaf will have. Everything is halachic, but very, very not typical. In other words, we hope never to have to do this again, and we're not setting any precedents, it's just for this year. And laning, there's not going to be any mishaberachs, there won't be any extra blessings, there won't be a choir, first of all, because it's illegal, also because we don't have enough time. The chazan, whoever it will be in each service, will do minimal singing because we want to cover ground. The drasha, okay, that's one thing you'll be happy about, won't be too long. So what you're going to end up having is a very, very squeezed 2 hours with us trying to fill in as much of the service as possible. Obviously, it's not anyone's obligation to do with the service what the service is doing or joining the racetrack. Feel free to go at your own pace. But we do want to give everybody a taste of all the various things, the Torah reading, the Shacharis, the Musaf, the sermon, the shofar, etc. So whether you come in the morning to 8:30 to 10:30, or you choose to come 11 to 1, you're coming to the exact same thing. It's a carbon copy, it's just us only being limited to 2 hour services. Now, each service, as we said, is a maximum of 50, which includes the chazan, the rabbi, etc., etc. So what happens is once the service fills up, then we open another service. But there is a limit how many services we could open based on location, based on staff, and just based on legal issues. So therefore, I would recommend for those who want to come to book. I see that the main services that are filling up a lot are the first night, and the day services are not doing too bad either. I mean, it's not fantastic numbers compared to what we're used to, but it's filling up. I do believe that when it comes to Yom Kippur, Kol Nidre, a lot of people are going to want, and what we're going to do in Kol Nidre, just in short, is it's going to be 2 sets of an hour and a half Kol Nidre. So it will be Kol Nidre 5:45 to 7:15, Kol Nidre 7:45 to 9:15. You need a half an hour break for people to leave, people to come, to disinfect the place, because each time the service is finished, we have to go and spray the entire room. It's a disinfectant, which is not dangerous to people, but we have to disinfect the entire room. And the logistics of keeping everybody safe is without a question changing the dynamic of the service, but between safety and that, we don't have a choice. Now, regarding the shofar blowing, there will be a shofar blowing at 2 p.m. and at 4:30 p.m. Each shofar blowing will have a maximum of 50 people. If we need more than 50 people at any time, then again, it's going to be 2 different locations at the same time and 2 different entrances. And those who want to come inside the shul can come inside. Those who want to stand outside and feel more comfortable listening to the shofar from outdoors, that will be a possibility as well. And we strongly encourage, I mean, although it is our job to, and the committee's job, and many of our jobs to be COVID marshals, for people to come with the attitude that this is not a socializing event. You know, with 50 people socializing, that's exactly the issue. That's why we cannot have shofar blowings in the park. We cannot have anything like that. What we might have is within a complex, one person might blow, but everybody would still have to stay in their home. Because the laws and the logistics, both of the government and of Professor Kramer, who we're taking guidance from, are very, very specific. 2 more points. First of all, to give you context that what we're going through, in Melbourne this year, nobody's going to Shul. So the fact that we could go to Shul is a miracle, because Melbourne is having much less daily cases than us, and they've locked down all shuls, and pretty much nobody's going to Shul on Rosh Hashanah. The fact that we can go to Shul, even though it's far from an ideal, and I could tell you honestly, it's taken me many weeks to come around to what's about to happen. But by now I've made peace with what we're into, and to hopefully make the best of it. And that leads me to the next point. Acknowledging that 50 to 70% of the community are not coming to Shul Rosh Hashanah is just a fact. It's a fact on the ground across town. What exactly that number will be, we don't know, but it's definitely more than 50% of people. Just the kids that cannot come and the elderly, the numbers are high. So we've spent a substantial amount of our time not only focusing on the logistics of people who do come, but focusing on the logistics of people who don't come. I could personally say that in the last week, in the last 7 days, I've probably spent 60, 70 hours just on designing and creating material for people who won't be coming to Shul. And what we created is a DIY packet. We're calling it a do-it-yourself packet, in which you have everything we could think of that you need to run your service. Page numbers, a whiskey, an apple and honey, a kiddush card, a candle lighting card, a guide, every single step of every chag, what you will do, when you'll make kiddush, what time you'll light candles, how many candles to light, what blessings to make. We literally went out to make that each person feels empowered, that even though they're at home, they can run a service, and material, reading material, sermon material to read around your Yom Tov table, and to be able to give yourself some meaning. So we're acknowledging that as much as we're giving a focus on logistics, many people are deciding not to come, and it's our obligation as a shul to cater for them. So although it was quite an expense, the shul, made the decision to obviously not just, spend money inconsiderately, but to invest heavily in a program that will cater for the community, that people don't walk out feeling a month from now that they've lost too much out by not coming to Shul. So I encourage you, it's going to be ready by Tuesday. We'll send out the information. For those who are able to pick it up, it will make it easier for us if you can come pick it up. If not, please let us know and we'll get it delivered to you. We intend to have it in all 390 homes of our community by Rosh Hashanah. That's our goal. And we ask for those who are willing to help with drop off, etc., to please help. And again, you can reach out to me about everything. Let me take Melanie's question. Well, first of all, it looks like an endorsement. Thank you, Melanie, for the unbelievable comment. The question we would like to address is what we should be doing, prayer at home, should we not be attending Shul? So I actually have it right in front of me. We created cards. This beige one is the Yom Kippur card. This reddish one, well, I'm a guy, so this is red. This reddish one is for Rosh Hashanah. Well, literally what we have is we chose the minimal services. It's the Art Scroll pages, but the truth is in the Shul magazine, you'll be getting in the packet, it also has the non-Art Scroll pages. And in it, we point out the most important prayers. So for example, the first night of Rosh Hashanah, candle lighting, Shema, Amidah, and Kiddush at your meal. So you have a compact, and it says from what page to what page is davening, Amidah, from what page to what page is Kiddush. In the morning, blessings of gratitude, Shema, Amidah, Avinu Malkeinu, not on Shabbat. Everything is very, very specific over here, but not, as you can see, it's a small card, double-sided, and this is the entire Rosh Hashanah. Small card, double-sided, and this is the entire Yom Kippur. And plus, we have the manual that we printed in color, which surely will go again and focus on every single point and explain services, etc. Plus, for those who haven't joined, we already had 2 courses on Rosh Hashanah on Wednesday nights. You could reach out to me. I'll send you the link to the course. For those who attended, it's been an incredible feedback. We literally, first week, we explained the theme of Rosh Hashanah. The next week, we explained the Rosh Hashanah service and literally went from night to day, 48 hours. We're going to do that over the next 2 weeks. This Wednesday and next Wednesday, we're going to do that for Yom Kippur. And then we're going to do it for Sukkot and then for Simchas Torah, so that every person feels empowered. But literally, all I can say is that the tools are there. If it's each member's choice if they want to use it. But if anybody wants tools for how to navigate the Chag, reach out to me. You all have my number, and I will send you more than enough information. And I could talk to you on the phone as well, and we could go through every single detail. Wayne?
Thank you, Rabbi. It's just, once again, I think I can refer this to my late grandfather. Was a house doctor, and he did house calls. So you'd get a phone call, and someone would say, "Doctor, I'm sick," and off you'd go. I think the rabbis exceeded the expectation, and he's been there for the entire community, and we will continue to be there for the entire community. So please, the answer to that is, if there's any questions that you have, please field them. Contact our officers, contact the rabbi, contact any of the executive. We're here to serve. And the most important thing to get across to the community is that should you have any questions, please just feel free to reach out. There is just one other question, just on during the day. Do we run the services concurrently? Yes, we do run the services concurrently, but the best way to describe that is like a mechitza. We cannot mix any services. The legislation doesn't allow us to do that. So from a logistics perspective, we will provide information in the coming days. And even though we are having concurrent services, we will make sure that they do not mix. Just one big element that we need to say is, in order to plan and in order to ensure that we are well planned and well versed at what we're going to do, is we need to close our bookings. Our bookings will close on Tuesday at 8 p.m. And the reason for that is so that we've got a few days to plan. So please, if you haven't booked, go ahead and book. If you're having difficulties booking, please contact our officers, contact the rabbi. We are here to help you book. And once again, I have to share the sentiment of the rabbi that, even though we're not expecting everyone back, we certainly, with the DIY pack, we know we can cater towards people that are not coming back to Shul. And with the help of Hashem, hopefully next Rosh Hashanah, we will all be together. Just another element that Harold touched on was membership and payment of membership and donations. Big shout out has to go to our donors and our members who have paid up. And we've also, as a Shul, we've procured a Section 18A certificate. So going forward, all donations given to the Shul, you will be eligible for a Section 18A certificate. But as a chairman, I'm overwhelmed by the generosity of our big donors. The Shul has some substantial overheads, and certainly from our perspective, we're a blessed community, and we should be very grateful that our community is one whereby there is some sustainability, but we need the collective effort of everybody to dig deep, pay your membership, and also if you can, give donations, because membership doesn't cover all the expenses. But LinkShul Shul is here, and LinkShul Shul is here to support our community. I'd like to just say in closing, because we can close now, I'd like to say thank you to everyone for attending. We will send the recording out to the rest of the community. And just a big thank you, starting with the Rabbi. Rabbi, you've been unbelievable, and you know, we're an amazing team player. And the rest of my exec, I thank you for the support that you've given. We've spent many hours over Zoom, so maybe getting used to this. Don't want to get too used to it, but certainly we're a cohesive executive. We're a well-balanced executive whereby all decisions are made together. And I'd like to send a message out to the community that with the help of Hashem, that you're in good hands, and we're here to serve you, and we're here to make sure that the community can get through this time and can, after this time, can continue to thrive. So I once again thank the Rabbi and my fellow exec for all the hard work behind the scenes. And Harold, thank you for coming on.